Hey guys, welcome to my channel. So I was just messing around on my editor, messing around with the audio, the guys down the hill. I was trying to figure out like what that sound was and if law enforcement did edit it and if, what was going on with this audio, what is going on with this audio. And I was able to actually separate the tracks. Now, somebody may have already done this. Don't know, never seen it before yet, but there very well somebody could have already done this, but this is the first time I'm seeing it, so I wanted to share it with you guys. I mean, this is the first time that I've seen it like separated like this, like I did. So like I said, I was messing around with my audio options in my editor and I was able to separate the tracks. So there's two tracks. It separates into two tracks. So the one is more audio. Okay, Tiffany, yep, I'm making sense. Yeah, it's audio. The one is more vocal based. So one, you get like a really crisp, clear sound of just the voice. And then the other track is the weird like sound, like, like the sound that people thought maybe that they edited out, the gun cocking or, just that sound in the background the whole time that kind of distorts it. So that's the other one. Now, what I did is there's three different audios that I did it to, okay? They're all really similar, but what I'm talking about here, I'll show you on their website, because I wanted to do it with all three. I wasn't sure if there was that big of differences, but just to see if there was, right? And they're all different file formats is what I'm talking about. Okay, so here is what I'm talking about. It is the website, basically, the Delphi homicide investigation, the main website, like everything that they've released. So they have the audio downloads and then the video downloads. And these three audios, they're all the same audios and these are all the same videos, but they're in different formats. So I wanted to just do it with all the formats just to see if there's any difference. And there is a little bit of difference between them as far as when I separate the tracks. So we have the wave, we have the OGG and the MP3. Okay. So here, I'll play. So the wave is... Okay. Now, listening to them like this, you don't really hear the difference between them, but when I separate the tracks, you do. But that's not what I really wanted to focus on. My main focus is when they are separated on all of them, just to be able to hear the voice very clear. But here's the just so you could hear the bass. So you could hear they basically sound the same. I'll just do the MP3. Okay, so what I did is I put them in my editor, okay, and I separated the tracks. So this is the first. So this one right here, I kind of didn't do them in the same order as the way they're on the website. So, I actually just did them in reverse. The first one that we're going to listen to is the MP3. The second is the OGG, and the third is the wave. I looked up the differences between the files, so I think let me talk about that a little bit, because it's interesting. So then as we go through them, you'll understand what the differences between these are. It's kind of cut and dry, you know what I'm saying? It's just, it is what it is. The files are this, and that. So let's see. So you can find quite a few different articles and information. The differences. Okay. So the ones we're working with for the Delphi audio is they have, so the order I have it on my editor as I'm editing it. So the first one we'll hear is the MP3, then the OGG, and then the wave. Okay. So let's look. So I was basically saying that this article will guide you through some of the most popular formats and help you select the option that suits your needs. So we have, the difference between what's the highest quality audio, the best sound, best mixing, mastering, all that kind of stuff. But we won't get in too deep because we just need to look at three of them. Actually, let's go in the order that we're going to be doing it. So we're going to look at the MP3 first. So the MP3 is the most popular lossy format. MP3 is the default audio format for many music providers and video platforms today. MP3 became a staple of the internet era due to the capability to compress files to very small sizes, as small as 1/10 of the size of lossless files, while still maintaining relatively high sound quality. For the consumer, the quality of MP3 files seems fine, but audio engineers and producers usually abstain from dealing with the format. Okay, I gotta keep that in mind. Compression to MP3 permanently deletes audio information that cannot be properly recovered, especially so when it comes to bit depth. Recording and mixing music requires at least 24-bit or higher, while MP3 files are only up to 16-bit. See, learning about these different files actually explains some of the differences that I found listening to these different audios from Delphi. And when I separate the tracks and hearing it, it makes sense now. Now, when I recorded this video already, and this is editing me, but now I'm going through editing, like anything I missed, anything I need to take out, add, etc. So I already have that recorded, but when I recorded it, I hadn't done the research on the different files yet. So a lot of it makes sense now for why you'll see some of the differences when you break it into the tracks for the MP3 compared to the WAV compared to the OGG. And now it makes a lot of sense. That's crazy. Okay, so let's continue here. So MP3 we see is good for, getting a bunch of music, songs onto your phone or your computer, just listen to, jam out to. No big deal. It sounds all right. It's what we're used to listening to, right? So it sounds pretty good to us. But it compresses it, makes it small, so it is easy and fast. You could upload all your songs pretty fast and easy and quick and store a lot, but you lose quality because it's compressing, and then you lose the quality, and then you actually lose data. Like you lose some of the aspects of the sound, and so it's not as good a quality. Alrighty, makes sense. So then you have, let me read this. So this is interesting. So it says, during processing, lossless compression rips audio files in a way that reduces them in size and keeps the sound quality intact. Lossless formats can be converted to other lossless formats without any loss of quality as well. Many people, predominantly artists, engineers, and audiophiles, prefer lossless audio because it sounds clearer, crisper, and deeper. On the other hand, lossy audio formats are up to 10 times smaller than the original, but some data is irreversibly lost during the transmission. As a result, lossy compression may reduce the file size from 100 megabytes to 10 megabytes, but sound quality is going to be worse than that of the original. Because of this, audio professionals prefer lossless formats to lossy and do not use the latter. Many regular listeners can't tell the difference between lossless and lossy, since they are used to poor quality headphones and speakers. They normally prefer lossy formats like MP3 because it allows them to store significantly more songs, download and export them faster due to the smaller size. However, lost sound waves, weird audio artifacts, and overall lacking quality of lossy files are painfully clear to the trained ear. Okay, so that's interesting, and that's going to be important in this because we want to hear as much as accurately as possible, right? So MP3, as much as MP3 is usually, if I'm just downloading music, that's probably what most of us listeners are used to hearing, that kind of quality. You could store more, but for something that you really are trying to break down in something like this, I want the more accurate, the more crisper, just the better quality, right? Where nothing's missing. Okay, so I'm thinking that the wave is gonna break down a lot nicer and you'll be able to tell the difference. Okay, so here's the wave, or let's do OGG because that's the order that we're gonna be listening to. So the OGG. Oh, it says, wait. So MP3, look, compressed lossy. OGG is lossy too. Okay, so lossy, remember, is the one that we don't want. It's okay, but it loses some traits. It loses some of the properties, the sounds, the characteristics, or whatever. However you want to label it, but it loses some of the stuff when it's compressed. So it loses some of the data. Okay, so let's go. Yeah, so this is a compressed lossy. And like I said, so is the MP3 was a compressed lossy. And remember, we just went over the difference between lossy and lossless. A lot of us listen to music, we prefer lossy. You could store more, it's downloaded quicker, and we're just used to hearing that quality. But professionals would prefer lossless. So OGG, a free open source audio format developed by ix.org, Xife.org, I don't know how to pronounce that, foundation. It has a container for Vorbis, Theora, Speaks, Opus, etc. The compression bitrate varies depending on the requirement of the file. Since OGG is a lossy audio format, some data from the original is irretrievably lost after the compression, so it's no match to FLAC, WAV, or AIFF. However, in comparison to MP3, OGG is superior in sound quality and file size alike. It's not as popular, but if your device supports OGG, it's better to pick OGG over MP3 because of smaller file size, higher bitrate, and overall audio quality. Okay, so cool. The order I ended up doing mine in is the worst to the best. So I did the MP3 we're going to listen to first, then OGG, and then the best is going to be the WAV. So, the WAV. God, I'm glad I learned this because now I know. When there's different options, I'm always like, well, which one do I pick? I don't know. Okay, so WAV, uncompressed lossless. So this is going to be our best one. So waveform audio file format. An uncompressed lossless audio format developed by IBM and Microsoft, and a gold standard in studio recording. WAV files recreate the original source audio at the highest quality with no loss whatsoever, making it ideal for sound engineers. On top of having a great bit depth and dynamic range, the WAV format holds embedded timecode, which makes for precise synchronization useful for collaborative projects. Most audio players and devices support the format and can play WAV files without any problem. The only downside is that the file sizes are quite large, so much that sometimes it isn't practical to convert and store files in this format unless you need to restore, edit, or manipulate audio. Okay, so now we know those differences. Okay, so I think that did a really good job at explaining it. We could actually do that same thing for the videos to see if there's a difference, because there's 4 different file types for the videos. But let's get back to the audio. The MP3 one right here is what we're going to start with. And then this is it separated. So basically it would be like the 2 tracks like this, right? Line them up, okay? So this is all one audio, but it separated the 2 tracks. So then I separated them because I wanted to hear them separately, right? So let's listen. So wait, here's it normal and then we'll see them separate. So here's the MP3 format.
Downhill. 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 Downhill.
That's one of them, and this is the same from the same recording, but a different track. So they're just layered on top of each other, right? I mean, if you look at it like that. Okay. So, since they're layered, if you put them back together, it will just be this. It just kind of separate it. So here is it together. But I like how we could hear it so clear if you separate it. It's this one that's more clear, actually, so I'm going to keep them all in the same order. So right here.
Downhill. Downhill. Downhill.
So very clear. You could kind of hear the down the hill part on that one, but you can't really hear the guys. Let me listen again. Well, in the first part. So yeah. Okay, so the second one is the OGG format or whatever. OGG. Okay, so here it is normal.
Guys. Downhill. Guys. Downhill. Guys. Downhill.
Separate.
Guys. Downhill. Guys. Guys. Downhill.
Now, what is weird to me is it's just the same one played 3 times, right? And there's probably nothing like suspicious about what I'm gonna say, but I don't know. Let me know, maybe some audio experts, if this is normal. But as you can see, they play it 3 times for each thing, right? So why does each time sound different when it's broken down? I don't get that. They're a little bit different. Like, for instance, watch what I'm talking about. Okay, so here's the first round on this track when they broke it up. So this sound wave or whatever, here's the first.
Guys. Downhill.
So you hear guys pretty good, and then down the hill it picks up. You don't hear the down very well, and then it's like down the hill. Okay, I'm playing that part one more time.
Downhill. Guys.
So the guys sound
Guys.
the same on that one. Let's see if the third one sounds the same, just so we can compare it.
Guys.
Okay, the guys all sound the same, but now listen to the down the hills on them.
Downhill.
Okay, it's lower, and then
Downhill.
that one's the best. That's like perfect. So
Downhill. Downhill.
why would there be a difference? Like, if they're just looping it, why does it sound different each time on that? Maybe it's just some kind of audio glitch, and it's just a simple little not important thing, but that's what we're hearing. So now here's the other track. I mean, it's the same recording, same file type or whatever, but this is the other sound wave or track or whatever. So notice, for this one, it picks up the guys on the first one. And
Guys.
okay, barely hear down the hill, but you could kind of hear it. And then you could barely hear guys there. Barely hear down the hill. You can't hear, kind of hear like on down the hill, like but you can't really hear that vocal that much on it, on those. But my point is that those don't sound the same. Let me listen to it again real quick. So you can hear the guys really clear on that first one. And you can't really hear it on the other two. Let me see here on this track if you can. So it must be that first guys, however they recorded that or played it on each of these files, somehow it has more of the guys that ends up on both of the wavelengths or both of the tracks or whatever. So just that first cycle. I bet you it'll be the same for this one too. Let's see real quick.
Guys.
You can hear guys, hold on. Can't hear it there. So yeah, just on that first round. Okay, so here's the third one. This is the wave file. So this is supposed to be the best quality, the one that doesn't lose any data, basically. So when you download it and, transfer it, let's say, I want to download it onto my computer or onto my phone, and you keep it in that format, it's going to keep all the data. It's not going to lose anything. Or I should say it loses the least amount of things. I don't know if it's 0 that it loses, but it's the best out of all of them. It loses the least amount. So with MP3 and OGG, because it's compressed, when you move it around, you lose a lot.
Guys. Downhill. Guys. Downhill. Guys. Downhill.
Okay, here's the more vocal based track.
Guys. Downhill. Guys. Downhill. Guys. Downhill.
Okay, did you guys hear that? So it sounds like it says guys, and then it sounds like somebody's going, or like, here, I'll show you what I'm talking about.
Guys. Guys.
It's like, guys.
Guys. Guys.
But you do not hear it on these, on the OGG or MP3s, which makes sense. It's not that weird because, like we read, OGG and MP3 compresses its files so it loses stuff. So it's not as accurate in the sound or crisp, or it just loses data. So the wave doesn't lose data, so you're hearing everything, right? So therefore, we hear that in this, but we don't hear it in the other one. So watch, this is the OGG.
Guys. 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 Downhill.
Okay, and then this is the MP3.
Downhill. Guys.
Kinda, but I mean, not enough.
Guys. Downhill. Guys. Downhill.
It would be like where you hear the, what would be supposedly maybe the gun cocking, where you, which would make sense. Like somebody's like you pull out a gun and that would be your reaction. Now, let's see here. Let's listen again. For some reason on the first cycle through, okay, so like I said, you see how it plays it 3 times. 1, 2, 3. It just loops it 3 times. I don't know why on the first time you don't hear it, but on the last 2 you do. Because you could tell by the wave, look. You could tell that this one doesn't have as much. This is having more sound. So maybe this one kind of glitched and didn't pick up all the audio for some reason. See what I'm saying? It's a little bit different. Okay, let's listen.
Guys. Downhill. Guys.
Right here.
Downhill. Guys. Downhill.
I mean, it might not be anything, or it might be, you know? So let's put it on top of the other sound and see exactly where it's at. Hold on, actually, 1 second. Let me mark it with a marker. Hold on 1 second. Let's get exactly where it's at real quick. This is the 2 sounds now on top of each other, right? These are the 2 different sounds. So these waves should be different because they're the different tracks. But since we can't hear the breath with everything together, I wanted to mark where we hear it in the mix of everything so we could see. So this is where it starts right here, these little marks. This is where it starts, this is where it ends on both sets, okay? So you know, listening, that's where we hear it. Okay, let's see.
Guys. Guys. Downhill. Guys. Downhill.
So, well, yeah, it'd be when the supposed gun cocking, if that really did happen, right then, which that would go along with it. Somebody would be like, if they see a gun. So maybe that is what it is. What do you guys think? Yeah, it's interesting that, you know, with all the sounds together, you can't hear it. But if you separate the vocals, like if you separate the sounds that we're able to do in an editor, you could actually hear like the different tracks of the sounds. So we would never be able to hear a breath with that background noise. But, well, you see, we just listened to it together. You can't hear it. But when you separate it, you could hear those little minute little soft sounds. So it's interesting to think about since they won't tell us crap.
Downhill. Downhill. Guys. Downhill. 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 Downhill.
Do you hear that like noise as down the hill part It has a unique noise when it starts going into that I've never heard like on the MP3 or anything. But now that we're listening to the wave, you could hear a little bit more. If you really listen, you could hear a little bit more details. I mean, even when you're listening to everything together. Okay, listen. It's almost like sounds like running water. So I know that's not what it is, but I'm trying to describe the sound that I'm hearing so you guys could understand which sound I'm just trying to describe.
Guys. Downhill.
Right there, right
Downhill.
there. It starts.
Downhill.
Or like a hissing, or
Downhill.
it's like.
Downhill. Downhill. Guys. Downhill. Guys. Downhill.
I don't know. But anyway, I want to show you that on the other formats that you can't hear the breath. So if you go to the NP3, the last two on that.
Guys. Downhill. Guys.
Actually, hold on. Let's match it up so we know where to look for it. Since we know. Okay, 1 second. Okay. So, let's see. So around here is where, but let me mute that so we're only hearing the MP3 one. I'm going to mute that. I'm just going to use it so we could know where to listen for the breath. Okay.
Guys. 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 Guys.
I guess I could kinda. But that might, the sound we're hearing there might be another noise that we're hearing, like the gun cock kind of background or something. I don't know, or maybe it is.
Downhill. Guys. Downhill. Downhill.
I bet I definitely could hear a little bit of something.
Downhill.
But yeah, so maybe it did catch a little bit. We would never been able to make out what that was if we didn't have the wave, even if that is indeed what it is. Okay, I want to listen to that other sound that I was listening to.
Downhill. 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 Downhill.
Now let's play both of these. We should put all three of the vocal parts together too.
Guys. Downhill. Guys. Downhill. Guys. Downhill.
Okay, I color coded them. So the blue one is the MP3, the yellow is the OGG, and the red is the wave. I'm going to put all three of the vocal ones on top of each other. So where we took out like just a vocal sound from the MP3, OGG, and wave, I'm going to put it on top of each other and layer them and see if we get a really good vocal sound, like a better one.
Guys. Downhill. Guys. Downhill. Guys. Downhill.
It almost sounds like, okay, you hear he says guys, and you hear and then right before he says downhill, it almost sounds like somebody like slipping on leaves. So whether it's just them kind of sliding on the leaves, like you hear it, so he's like guys. So he says guys, and you're because maybe he shows the gun cocks, whatever. And then you almost hear like some leaves, like somebody maybe slipping a little bit on some leaves as they're going down the hill, or it could just be them starting to walk down the hill and you could hear the leaves crunching beneath their feet. And it almost sounds kind of like a slide, like a little slip, like Let me know what you guys think.
Guys. Downhill. Guys. Downhill. Guys. Downhill.
It's all on them together. What if we put all of the full ones together? Let's just see.
Downhill. Guys. Downhill. Guys. Downhill.
All right, so let's compare just the audio parts of each of these. Okay, so let's listen here. So here is the MP3.
Downhill. Guys. Downhill. Guys. Downhill.
Okay, here's the OGG.
Guys. Downhill. Guys. Guys. Downhill.
Here's the wave.
Guys. Downhill. Guys. Downhill. Guys. Downhill.
Now listen to the other one. The other one misses parts. It does. There's like parts of the sound that go in and out. So watch. Here's the OGG.
Guys. Downhill. Guys. Guys. Downhill.
This just shows you that, yeah, the compress does. You can lose some data when you compress it. So it's kind of interesting to actually hear it for yourself, you know? Okay, let's listen to the wave one more time just to show how much more you could hear and like how much clearer it is and how much better the quality is, in my opinion. Now remember, we're just hearing the one wavelength, so I took it, basically separated it from that other noise, whether that be, I don't know what that other noise is in the background. Is it the gun cocking? Did they really take that audio, whatever that other track was, and kind of distort it all up so we couldn't hear the gun? Was it the walking in the leaves? Was it somebody screaming? I don't know. Whatever they was it just like natural background noise that's all distorted? But we were able to separate it so we could just hear the vocal part and more of the more subtle sounds, right? So here it is, one more time.
Guys. Downhill. Guys. Downhill.
Okay, so I have it marked. The gasp is in between here, starts here, ends here. And then starts here and ends here because it's going to play twice. And then the tree, like the crisping of the, like the stepping on the leaves. It could be like tree limbs, branches, leaves, grass, just like that crunching sound. So that starts here and ends here. It's in the yellow, right? The yellow markers is marking it. So it does make sense. Let's say he says, guys, shows him the gun, whether it cocks or not. He shows it to him, I'm sure, maybe cocking it. And one of the girls is gasps.
Downhill.
And they start walking. Somebody takes one of them, both of them, who knows? They start heading down the hill, start like walking, taking a step into this brush type, not the path that they were on. And that noise that it makes, like, you know, like stepping in it and walking in it. Kind of sounds like that right here. Starts here, ends here. So let me know what you guys think. I'll play it again. I just wanted to point it out where it was.
Guys. Downhill. Guys. Downhill.
Let me know what you guys think. Here's just all the vocal parts piled, layered on top of each other. Sounds pretty similar just to the wave. Because the wave, I mean, that makes sense. Because the wave doesn't lose any. And the three on top is the MP3, OGG, and wave. OGG and MP3, the wave would have everything that has in it already. You know what I'm saying? So it's really wouldn't add anything new. So makes sense. But just wanted to play it like that again.
Guys. Downhill. Guys. Downhill.
And here's just the wave.
Guys. Downhill. Guys. Downhill.
See how similar it sounds? Almost exactly the same as all of them together. The wave is where it's at, guys. I mean, if you want good quality sound, always go for the wave file. Now, I'm so glad I learned that. I was thinking about doing maybe another voice comparison with, I don't know, who do you want me to do? Now that we have more of a little bit of crisper, just the voice, the vocal sound of him. We could compare it with Brad. We can do a Richard one. We could do, I don't know who else that people are really thinking it could be as far as who we would have audio from. We could do Ron. I mean, I get it. I was reading a comment the other day about Ron, and because I know the last couple lives I've been saying, like, I don't think he's bridge guy. I do think there's a lot of suspicious things about him and what he did with the alibi and just stuff that he did and stuff that was in that search warrant. But my point is I don't think he is the guy that's walking on the bridge that's on the video, because if you look at the body, he's a different build. I feel like he's not shaped like bridge guy, in my opinion. But I know a lot of people disagree with that, because I'll see a lot of side-by-sides with his whole body, and it's the picture that I think is the one, when I look at it side-by-side with bridge guy, that I think it looks not the same. The one that convinces me that it's not him is the one everybody's using it to convince or to say that, oh, they think it is him. But I think everything else, it looks really similar. But then when you see his whole body, I don't think it, I don't know, I think he has a different body style. He looks taller, he looks shaped different, but like I said, I know a lot of people disagree on that. But with that being said, there is some very suspicious things about how everything went down with him. And why did he feel like he had to set up an alibi? And that was before anybody would have even have known that they were dead, and just like weird stuff like that just doesn't make sense. And I know, a lot of people would just say, oh yes, because he, broke his probation, he wasn't supposed to be driving and blah, blah, blah. But that still doesn't make it make sense. Because why would you even know or think to do that soon if you didn't have some kind of pre-knowledge on it? I don't even know if that's a word. So who do you want me to do the voice comparison with on this? I think I definitely want to do Richard Allen, because we have a good, really soft audio of Richard. The only audio we have of Richard, we have a few quick little statements from when he was on that thing in the air, and then I think is there another audio somewhere from him? So we could do that, we could do Brad, and we could do, Keegan. I just don't think that was Keegan. I'm not saying I don't think Keegan was involved in some way, but I don't think he was the one at the bridge. I could find a good comparison with Ron, and then I don't know if you guys have any other comparisons you want me to do. Let me know what you guys think of the audio and what you make out of it. Do you think what that sound is that's laid over top of the vocal? Which I know I'm not saying it was edited over it, but what is that sound that is just like a natural sound from the video and the background noise of whatever was going on? Or did they somehow distort that in some way to distort something? Because you could see how I did it, and they had freaking FBI, they had possibly the best technology at their hands if they wanted to use it, so they would have been able to separate the vocal with whatever the background noise is, and then they could have just altered or edited out that background noise that if they're trying to distort, if it was a gun cocking, when they first released it, because they didn't want people to know he had a gun, and they were trying to blur that out so people couldn't hear that. They could have separated the tracks like that and then fuzzied up that track and did something to make it, distorted it so it didn't sound like that, and then and not messed with the vocal. But if that's the case, if they separated these tracks like that, then why even add that back over top? Because if they're going to distort it anyway, then that serves no purpose in identifying who this is. Because if you're distorting it, then that doesn't matter. That sound doesn't matter. It's just making it harder to hear the vocals. So take it out. Because it's not like that there's something in that can be identifiable that you want us to hear, because you're distorting it, so it wouldn't even be accurate. So freaking take that out, or keep the real sound and don't distort it, and keep that in there if there's some kind of maybe background noise that maybe could help us identify something. But if you're going to distort it anyway, unless they didn't, and that is just the natural sound, whatever's going on, then what is it? What do you guys think that is, that sound, if they didn't distort it? Or were they not able to separate it? Did they just not do it? They didn't think of to separate the audio, or they didn't know how, or they just didn't want to? I don't know. You would think it's really important. It's a gosh darn murder case that's very important to solve, And then let's talk about the breath. You heard a breath. What was that? Was that one of the girls? Or did it just sound like that and it wasn't that? Did they even notice that? Did they even look into the audio that in depth that they heard that? Because with all the other sound going on, you wouldn't hear it probably Unless if they did make all that other sound all distorted so we couldn't even hear anything clear, because maybe they were distorting the gun cock or whatever, but then they would have been able to hear the original and heard that, but maybe they just didn't think it was important. I don't know. So do you guys think that that's one of the girls, like, because she sees a gun? Or do you think that is what that sound is or not? I'd love to hear your thoughts.